Thank you guys so much for joining us today. We are going to hit a topic about leadership today. And it's going to be a little
What?
different, but
About
I know,
leadership?
right? It's
What? That's
crazy,
crazy.
but it's a little different. And frankly, I'm excited about this because I love lists. And today we want to hit the top 11 things leaders should stop saying. You've
Mm,
probably heard some of these before. Maybe some of them are new. Hopefully, you haven't heard all of them at the same time because that would just be terrible.
bummer.
But it would be a super bummer. But there is a lot of things that as leaders we talk about, and we talk a lot, right? It's probably a characteristic of a leaders that we talk a lot. But there's a lot of things that we need to stop saying. And some of these are catchphrases that have been used for years, and we just kind of they just become part of our vocabulary, but it also indicates a mindset that we've got behind it. So, why don't we go ahead and just jump right in? The first one that I want to talk about that we need to stop saying as leaders is, I don't have time for this.
Mm,
So, there's a lot behind that. You may not have time for it at the moment. You may actually be very legitimately in depth with something going on, but the connotation behind it is that you don't have time for that person. And that's what the team member is going to hear. And the more that you do this, the less they're going to come to you, which means now they're creating solutions for themselves. They're not getting your input, all these other things. There's a lot of fallout to it. The best leaders that I've had in my lives have never said, I don't have time. They've always said, let me make time for you, or I can't do it right this minute, but I can at such and such a time. Right? They're showing that you're still important, and that the issue that needs to be discussed is still important. But they do legitimately have a reason that they can't do it at that very moment.
So it's really about the perception, right? So
Absolutely.
it's the perception that the team members got, that they're like, oh, they don't have time for me. They don't care. Like, they're going to
Yep.
create that story in their head. So the I don't have time for this
Yeah.
response, I think you're right. It's a lazy, quick response that isn't actually conveying the importance of it. Right. And
Right.
I think we think it's just enough to, I don't have time for this. Just say it. I don't
Yeah.
have time for this. But the truth is, we do have time and we'll have to make time, because if you don't make time now, you're going to have to make time later
Right.
to, like, go back
Fix
through what
whatever.
was going on and fix it exactly. Instead of just saying exactly what you just said. Hey, right now is not a great time because I've got this going on and this going on. Is there a possibility we can talk about this? It is important, but can we talk about this another time, or
Yeah.
when's a good time? Yeah, I
Yep.
like that a lot. That's good.
Yep.
All right. So the next thing, number 2, is get rid of the should, the must, and the but. Okay. Get
Ooh.
rid of the should, the must, and the but. Um, I I was talking to someone one time, and we were talking about should, because one of my favorite things that I think it was Brene Brown says is that should is could with shame all over it. Right. So should is
Yeah.
could with shame all over it. And when I said that to this person, they're like, yeah, man, anytime I hear someone say should to me, I'm like, hey, stop shitting all over me. And I'm like, ooh, I like that. That's good.
That's
Um,
really good.
and it's because these words like should and must are not actually hitting the thing that they need to do. It's actually
Mm.
connecting them to high levels of failure and what it will mean for them if they don't have this thing done. Or, hey,
That's a
you
good
should have
point.
already done this. Well, yeah, but that's connected to the failure aspect. Instead of getting curious and wondering why it's not done and holding them accountable, I think we think that should and must are accountability words. They're not.
Mm.
If
Yeah.
they should have already had it done, then you just need to have a conversation about how it should have already been done, without you should have this, and how I can't believe, like, I thought you were better than, like, you get into all this stuff that the word could is maybe better in that scenario. And the but is just one of those words we got to get out of our vocab, because and not in all cases. I'm not saying it like, oh, you should, if you say the word but, you're in trouble. Um,
Yeah.
but but here we go. But um, a lot of times when you're trying to use it to manipulate, it's used as an eradication, right?
Oh yeah.
Hey, you're really good at this, but this is horrible. Like, Well, that's that's not good. What I hear often is to use the word "and." Okay, figure it out
Mm,
what you're actually looking for to convey in such a way that they don't completely shut down when they hear that word.
yeah.
So that's just one I think that is worthy to not say.
Yeah, the one I've heard too is I understand, but which
Mm,
generally means it's you're appeasing them. You're basically saying, "Sure, you're valid. Your argument is valid. It's not, but but here's the reality."
yeah,
And then you go in to explain why what they've said is irrelevant or invalid at that point. That's really really terrible.
yeah. It's almost like it's not the word "but," it's the word and phrase "I don't care."
Yes, that's what's heard.
That's
That's the
yeah.
perception of what's heard is, oh, okay, the leader doesn't care about me or my ideas at all.
Mm, yeah, that's good. All right, so the next one, number 3, is when a leader just says, "I've already tried that," or "I've been
Mm,
doing this for however many years," like when we
yeah.
throw those things out as some trump card that means it won't work this time. And the problem with that is, um, why didn't it work? Why didn't it work for you the time you tried it?
Yeah.
There are a million and a half different variables that could have been associated with that. For one, maybe the thing that you tried back in 1980 when the cost of that thing was like the cost of Microsoft Word or some word processor, you know, 40 or however many years it's been around back in the day. It was like an incredible amount of money to have a word processor, a
Oh
thing
yeah.
that we now use for free on Google Sheets. You know what I mean? Like this is unbelievable the amount of difference from then to now. Well, maybe that's true about what you have already tried or the fact that you've been doing this for years and well, anytime we do that it doesn't work and yeah, but knowing why is really important to that. So, if
Mm.
you've already tried it and that's your excuse, all I got to say is so what? Get over yourself.
Yep.
Maybe there is another way and maybe the thing that someone's bringing to the table should be looked at again. Okay?
Yeah.
Might not have worked for economical reasons. Um, maybe resources are different, but if you can get on track and say, um, yeah, maybe it didn't work for these reasons, but now I'm going to change. Now I'm
Yes.
going to see it from a different place. Okay, so get out of saying I've already tried that
The one time that the use of the word "but" is a good thing, right?
when it's to
I think
yourself. Yeah.
it is, right. Yeah, I think too the other aspect of this, again, speaking of yourself in that situation, I've already tried this or I've been doing it for X number of years. Like maybe, and this may sound harsh, but maybe it's you. Maybe you're the issue, not necessarily the issue, but maybe you're the factor that is the reason it's not working. Maybe it's a lack of knowledge or a lack of skill in that area. Maybe you're just not the best person for it. And the person who brought it up, maybe they excel in that area, whatever it is. That's another thing to think about too, is, you don't have all those solutions. So, number 4 for us here this time, I think kind of plays off of this, and it's kind of a variation of it, but it's important we bring it up because we've heard it a lot, and that is, well, that's the way we've always done it, right? And that right there, just all that does is, for me, it suppresses creativity. It says anybody who has any ideas about the way that they want to do this or a better way to do it, don't even think about it. We're doing it my way or the highway. That's it. It's also a lazy answer, right? It's laziness of saying, well, I don't feel like putting in the work to see if there is a better way. I just know this way and I'm going to stick with it. And yeah, it may not be the most efficient, it may not be the most productive, but we know it works at the end of the day. So why change it? And then, it's just very narrow minded. It also assumes, again, like we said a minute ago, it assumes that you have all the solutions, that you have all the answers for all of these problems because you've come up with this perfect process or whatever it is. And maybe it's not even you, maybe it's another person that you've idolized and they came up with that process. Keeping that as part of your language or vocabulary of just, hey, this is the way we've always done it, just shows your lack of desire as a leader to continue to grow and learn new things and move forward with your skills.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. The number 5 is a interesting one. Okay, because it's you're gonna a lot of people are gonna hear this and be like, "Mm, I don't know. Like, I say that, it must be right." Um, but I think it's bring me solutions, not problems. We say
Ooh,
this a lot.
yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
don't bring problems to me, bring solutions.
yeah,
Here's our problem with this idea. As leaders, we are problem management. Okay.
yep,
We are people who are creative problem solvers. And the problem with just saying, well, bring me solutions, not problems, is it's lazy. It's looking for a reason to not have to deal with something generally.
yes,
Uh, and
yep,
yes, we want our teammates to come up with solutions. I want them to be problem solvers. So I
mhm,
think in the nature of saying like come with solutions, yeah, that's great. But if it's set in such a way or the mentality is such a way that you never want problems on your doorsteps, then you're going to get massive problems on your doorsteps because you're not
yes,
dealing with the thing and you're having someone else deal with it in a way that maybe isn't even right. Okay. So we want our team to come up solutions, but we also want them to come to a place where they're coming up with the right solutions, right?
yeah,
Like if their answer for everything is just expense it, then that's not good
no,
because that's not but guess what? That's a solution.
it is a
So as
solution, yes,
leaders, we have to help train our teams to understand what are the right solutions when you have these certain variables going on.
yeah,
So just saying bring me solutions not problems is not training, it's not developing, it's not growing your people. Yes, it's not a problem to want solutions, but like if that's what you're saying, its tendency is that it's coming from a place that you just don't want to deal with the problem.
yep.
That's not really good enough.
No, it's a very nice catchphrasey way, businessy talk way of saying I don't have time, right?
Mhm,
Because you're saying I don't want to deal with this solution. I don't want to deal with this problem. Just somebody else should fix it for me.
mhm.
So yeah, I think it's really good because it is a hard one. We hear it a lot, and there is some value in. I mean, there's a lot of value in training your team to bring you solutions, but they still need to bring it to you, right? That's the focus is still there. Another one that man, this can be a mindset as well as something that we say. So I'll kind of get into both, but I'll just do it myself, right?
Mm,
So that's first of all, that's a poor mindset to have of, well, I'll just take care of this. It's quicker if I just get it done, right? So that's a poor mindset in the sense that you're not allowing your team to grow. You're probably taking on things that should not be done by you. Again, like you said a minute ago, Blake, we're creative problem solvers. That's part of leadership. And if we're constantly taking on things that we're doing ourselves, then we probably won't again have that time or that wherewithal to be able to say, okay, this is a solution time, this is a creative thinking time that I need to come up with a solution for a problem, right? So doing it yourself is not the answer on that. But this also is in regards to when you're working with someone, training them, right? If I'm teaching, Blake, if I'm teaching you how to do a new process and it's been 10 minutes and you don't get it, it's very detrimental for me to say, you know what, don't worry about it, Blake, I'll just take care of it myself.
mm, okay.
Right now, that tells you you're not worth the time and effort for you to learn this process. Also, I don't have the confidence in you that you can actually mentally understand this or physically be able to do it. So now I'm
It's
questioning
almost like you're
everything about
saying you're
you.
not smart enough.
Exactly like it's
Yeah,
exactly what you're saying is you're not smart
yeah.
enough, or this hits deeper, you're not good enough.
Mm, yeah, it
You
does
are
hit
not
deeper.
enough or good enough for this project or this process or whatever it is. Right. So that perception of saying, I'll just do it myself, you can say it the nicest manner you possibly can. But I guarantee you, your team members going to think about that and think about it. And they're going to think, I'm not enough. I'm not good enough to do this.
Yeah.
And it breeds so many other issues and problems. And the reality is, you may be able to do it yourself this one time quicker, but what if it has to be done 200 times? And
Mm,
that's that person's role. And that's what they're supposed to be doing. Now you're doing their job and they're not doing theirs at all. And
yeah.
now you can't do yours. So
And
cut that from
I
your
think with
vocabulary.
that too, you're also like when you go to that and you say I'll just do it myself, sometimes we're thinking like, oh, it'll just be easier, it'll be less stress on them. And so I don't always think it's coming from this evil place, right? Like it's more just a it'll be better for them. They won't have to deal with this. But it's also believing that they don't want to do the work. And you don't want people on your team who just don't want to do the work. Like
Good
you want
point. Yeah.
team players. So um yeah, that's really good. All right, number 7, you don't need to know why, or that's above your pay grade. Those types of things we say all the time, like, you don't need to know why. Well, why are we doing it this way? Hey, you don't need to know why. Well, wow, ouch. Um, there is a lot of times that's being said because we just want to get the thing done. Okay. And yes, this is kind of going back to one of our earlier ones where we were talking about I don't have time for this, because a lot of it is kind of like on the crux of I don't have time for this. But when you say like, oh, you don't need to know why, or I don't have time for that, you're really, yes, you're trying to get it done, but what you're saying to them is a deeper issue. What you're saying to them is potentially that they don't have value. Okay. Because guess what? The majority of people, they want to know why they're doing something. They don't want to just push a button and not know why they're pushing the button, which guess what? That's a good thing. Okay. It's
Yeah.
good that people want to know why things are happening a certain way, because then when you know why, you can come and become a better creative problem solver to things. Okay. Saying you don't need to know why causes or has them come to this conclusion or this solution that they don't have value. Why? Because knowledge and understanding tends to be equated with value, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
So if that's the case, what we're essentially saying is like you don't have value enough. Okay. Um, you don't have enough value or enough pay grade. You haven't grown to this place to even have that knowledge, and it's demeaning, and you need to stop it because it
Yeah.
doesn't ever benefit anyone. And you end up causing rifts between teams and team members. And I mean, the frustrations I tend to hear from team members have to do with this type of thing alone. So anyway, that's number 7. Pete, number 8.
Yeah. So number 8, and there's two variations of this is I'm busy or I'm too busy right now. Right.
Mm,
So man, that hits everybody because when we think about it legitimately, everyone is busy. Everybody has something going on at every point of the day or every time of the week. Like everybody's got something going on. We all are dealing with different things. And a lot of times it's external circumstances, right? So saying everybody's busy or saying I'm busy rather, the connotation there is that you're not, and then that leads you to think, well, does my leader feel like I'm lazy? Do they feel like I'm not pulling my weight, that I'm not doing the work that I should be doing, and I'm not doing my job, right? It's also an excuse for you as a leader. I'm busy, I can't handle this right now. Again, a variation of I don't have time. And if you really are busy, if you believe that you're busy, that usually shows a lack of focus and productivity. You could be very busy and be doing a lot of things, but not actually accomplishing anything. So saying that is basically telling someone, first of all, you're not important, and I just have a bunch of stuff that I want to, start working on and never actually accomplish anything. So
mm,
saying I'm busy is just, again, it's very degrading. A lot of these things we're talking about, the things that we say themselves are not necessarily bad, right? But the mindsets that they portray or the perception that they put out there of our team members is where the detriment comes from. And
mm.
saying I'm busy is just one of those that just terrible.
Yeah. So the next one is it's not personal, it's business. And good
Yeah,
luck here because it's always personal. Stop
yeah,
thinking that you can take the humanity out of humanity and have machines. If you want a machine, go get a machine. Okay. That's all I've got to say at this point. Otherwise, if you can't have a machine do it because people can do it better, then you need to stop trying to take the personal side out of it. Okay. Don't be a robot. Don't try to get robots who are, well, this is just business. And listen, you're also trying to insulate yourself from emotion in that
yeah,
time. A lot of times when it's said, you're not just trying to insulate and frame the other person in such a way that they will say something or they won't have an emotional reaction to it. You're also insulating your own feelings. guess what? You've got them. They've got them. Why don't
Yes.
we just be grown-ups and say, you know what? This is probably going to be hard to hear, but we need to say it because we lean into the hard things.
Yep.
And then you say it.
Yep.
Or if it's also another insulator for you being an asshole. Okay. You want to
It's
be an
true.
asshole? Just say, just a heads up here. I'm about to be an asshole and I'm going to say something and I'm pissed and I'm angry and just say that.
Yeah.
People would rather you do that instead of being like, you know what? It's not personal. It's just business. And we're going to have to let you go. Well, why? Hey, look, just chill out. Okay. Just chill
Yeah,
out now.
exactly.
This is, like I said, this isn't personal. I like you as a person outside of the fact that maybe you just don't like them as a person.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's personal. And I get that we've got to be careful on certain lines in business, but at the same time, stop saying it's not personal, it's business.
Yeah.
And yes, we can make good calculated decisions, but every decision we make is still based off of some emotion. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but I looked at the numbers and the numbers said I should do this. Yeah, but what was the emotion? Fear that if you didn't do that thing, you would lose a ton of money. Okay, there's
Yeah.
your emotion. Guess what? It
Yes.
is personal. Okay. Or just start seeing business as meaning also it's personal. Okay. So anyway, number 9, it's not personal, it's business. And
And
number 10.
yeah, number 10 is stop saying employee so and so or employee X is doing better than you. Oh my
Mm,
gosh. Talk about manipulation right there. That is comparison as a motivator. You're using another person's abilities or skills that's not a part of that conversation to not only demean but to negatively motivate someone to do better in a certain area. Just sounds horrible when you actually put it that way. But a lot of times we say, well, so and so is doing really great at such and such, and the connotation behind it is maybe you could do a little better, or maybe you could try a little harder, or again, going back to that, what's the perception being received by your team member? You're not good enough. You're not. You're not good enough for this task. You're not good enough for me. You're not. It just, it all rolls into that emotion. And again, like we talked about just a second ago, emotions are part of life. Like this is something we deal with. So stop comparing team members first off in your head. If you're doing this, if you're saying this, then you're comparing your team members in your head, and wishing rather than actually spending the time teaching and developing them and encouraging them and helping them grow and be better at their positions and their roles and their jobs. um, it's a really easy way of just you justifying the fact that you spent a lot of time comparing them and wishing somebody was good enough, but not being willing to get off your lazy ass and actually do something about it.
mm. Yeah, that's good. That is good. Yeah, that's a dangerous, dangerous manipulator for sure. And last but not least, number 11, reason or thing that you need to stop saying as a leader. I'm in charge.
uh,
If you have to say it,
yeah.
you're not, or you're very weakly so.
Yeah.
Often on this podcast, if this is your first time listening, then this might be a little new, but we often talk about how positional leadership, like the leadership you have because you're in that position, is the weakest, lowest level of leadership. Yes, you need to grow through it and understand it, but it is not the culmination and pinnacle of where leadership needs to be. If you've got to say, I'm in charge to someone, it's because they don't see you as being in charge. Okay.
Yeah.
When you just have expectations that somebody acts a certain way and you bring consequences, that's being in charge. Okay.
Yep.
But if somebody's not giving you respect and you're like, hey, listen to me, I'm in charge. Hey, I'm in charge. Guys, I'm in charge. Listen, you're not in charge. Okay. And that's weak and that won't get you anywhere.
Yeah.
So, anyway, number 11, I'm in charge.
Man, that's a good one. Saying it doesn't mean that you are, it means that you're not. I love it. Guys, these are 11 items, 11 things that leaders say that we need to stop saying. There's many others out there, but these are some of the top ones that we've seen and some that we've heard. And they can lead to poor mindsets. Some of them depict poor mindsets. Most, if not all of them, lead to some sort of manipulation of your team members. And the perception of all of them are just negative and degrading and pulling down. Avoid these, stay away from them. And there's some opportunity here for you to take some of these and learn what are some better ways to say them, right? And what are some creative ways that we can determine better ways to do things. So thank you so much for joining us this time on the Ridgeline Leadership Podcast. See you guys next time.